Hello and welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel. A lot to talk about today. It's been, we always say there's never a normal day following Watford Football Club since 2012, but I think this day's ranking is as one of the most mental, to be completely honest with you. If you haven't seen the rumours and reports going around at the moment, Tom Cleverley's future is in doubt. There may be a new man coming in. We're going to discuss it all here today. What's most important to clear up right away is nothing has been officially confirmed. So this is just going on the reports. But we felt that we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't come on here and talk about it and give our point of view and our assessment on some of the stuff we're reading and some of the stuff we're hearing online. So let us know, as always, your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're listening to this, as always, drop us a DM or drop us a message at WD18 fans. We appreciate that people have said you need to use your platform. You need to speak about this. Look, that's the reason we're here. We're going to have a chat about it, and we'd love to hear what you have to say about this situation as well. Sam joining me on the pod today. It's a two-man episode. Sam, where do you want to start with this? Before I give a bit of background into what's been happening today, just how you feeling at this moment?
Not surprised, to be honest with you. Maybe a little bit by the timing. I said yesterday that I thought Coventry would potentially be Tom Cleverley's last game in charge. I think my feeling now is that regardless of how the result goes, it could be Tom Cleverley's last game in charge at Watford. And I've said previously, when we do these videos every few months, when there's reports that a manager's about to be sacked, or when we do sack managers, I say that we can always just rinse and repeat what we say every single time. And yes, that is true this time, but this one hurts even more because of who Tom Cleverley is. And also because, to be honest with you, he hasn't done much wrong with the lack of backing, I should say, he's had. The lack of investment. We spent the least amount of money in the Championship. The clear lack of reinforcements in the January transfer window. And despite that, he's got us 1 point outside the playoff spots and clearly in the conversation. He's developed players, got players achieving. Yet here we are, a dip in form over the last, 6 or 7 games, where Tom Cleverley has made mistakes. I think he'd put his hands up and say, some decisions and some performances haven't been good enough. But by no means is that grounds to sack him or get rid of him. So, yeah, look, I'm not surprised by it. A little bit surprised by the timing of these rumours. But, yeah, we'll get into it. But, look, nothing comes to surprise me anymore with this club.
Yeah, for sure. For people who are tuning into this and haven't been online, or it's the first time they've seen these rumours prop up, this is sort of a breakdown of what's been happening today. So according to reports in Spain, according to Angel Garcia, who is a Spanish journalist, Pacheta, a Spanish manager, is the new Watford head coach. He will be in London soon. Today or tomorrow, it will be officially confirmed. And if he achieves promotion with Watford this season, he will stay on as head coach next season. Now, I know what a lot of people will be thinking. Well, firstly, how reliable is this journalist? That's still yet to be confirmed. And number two, is it worth panicking about until it's been officially confirmed, etc., etc.? What's really concerning for me, Sam, is the fact that Watford Andrew French has reached out to Watford Football Club to get a direct right of reply, which is what you do, obviously, in journalism. And Andrew is the most reliable Watford source we have as Watford fans. And the club have replied to him on the rumours around Tom Cleverley and Pacheta. No comment. They haven't come out and categorically denied it. They haven't come out and backed him. It's just silence. And if I cast my mind back to when Ivic was at the football club, there was a random report about Xisco Munoz that came out. And that happened very, very quickly. I think back to Chris Wilder, Sam, where the club put out a statement basically categorically denying the rumours and news that were going around. The bit for me was not the new man coming in. To be honest, I couldn't actually care at this moment in time about the new man coming in. My massive, massive concern, and as really ruined, I'm sure like a lot of people, ruined the day and probably the weekend going into Coventry, is why have the club not come out and categorically denied it if there wasn't a bit of substance in it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. To be honest with you, the no comment makes me feel like it's most probably a done deal. You mentioned the obviously Vladimir Ivic and the Xisco Munoz rumours. That happened very, very quickly. I think after a defeat at Huddersfield, I want to say, and it all kicked off with Troy Deeney afterwards and whatnot. almost on the contrary, there was rumours of Chris Wilder getting sacked, and the club put out a statement saying no, he's not. And I think they said something like it's disrespectful, those rumours. I think back to last season where there were rumours flying around that Valérien Ismaël was under severe pressure. Next thing we know, he'd signed a new contract, and there was the whole club statement thing, if you remember that, and everyone thought he'd gone, but he'd actually signed a new deal. I think there's no comment here, no words, but you're speaking thousands of words at the same time, and I'm gutted, to be honest with you. I've been saying it for the last few weeks, and I think I just think the writing's been on the wall for a long time with this. I think there's an ego issue with Gino. I think he probably thinks Watford are, well, not better than they are, but I think he probably, to an extent, appreciates the position that Tom Cleverley's got Watford in. However, I think he probably thinks that, right, we can probably kick on now and try and get playoffs, but results under Cleverley are potentially only going one way, he views. And obviously, that's ultimately down to his lack of investment and lack of care that he's put in over the last 18 months, 2 years, even longer than that. I don't really have, it's difficult to articulate my thoughts with this just because it's so raw, but I'm gutted. I was previously numb to it, for example, when Ismaël left the club and Wilder left and whatnot, but this one hurts because Tom Cleverley, for me, is, at least in my childhood, has embodied so much of what Watford Football Club has been about. My first ever game, QPR at home, Tom Cleverley scored. He obviously came back, scored an amazing goal against Arsenal, captained the club. Now he's manager, doing an excellent job. Feel that connection's back, feel connection to the team, and then that's just being taken away from us. Nothing's going to change until Gino Pozzo leaves the football club, and I know it's rumours, but it's just hurting, and it just feels like the writing's on the wall with this.
Yeah, I mean, look, as Watford fans, we've had our fair share of managerial change. I don't think I need to tell anyone that. But where I completely agree with you, Sam, is I think this one for me is probably, if it goes, and again, at this moment in time, nothing is official, nothing's confirmed. It's very much speculation. But I would go as far to say if this one happens, it would be easily the worst of the lot. Easily the worst of the lot.
Yeah, I thought it'd be difficult to trump how bad the Rob Edwards one was in terms of them coming out publicly backing him, having that sort of connection back. But this would be, like you say, 10 times worse.
Well, the three would be, for me, in third place. I mean, the fact that we can do a top three is unbelievable. But third would be,
what a club, my word.
Yeah, third would be Gracia. Actually, second would be Gracia for me. Third would be Edwards, and then first would be Clevs. Genuinely, because what that man's done this season is absolutely extraordinary, and we cannot underestimate that. We look at net spend, we're bottom of it at this moment in time. The squad is lacking a lot. The fact that we're in the position that we are in now is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, he's not far off working miracles, Tom Cleverley. If we look at the championship table, Watford are currently, with the squad they have at the moment, 8th in the league, just 1 point off 6th. I think you speak to most Watford fans before the start of the season, they would have had us down in the bottom half of the table, most certainly, but towards the relegation places based on the squad on paper. And Watford are basically, and look, this is the facts of the matter, right? Watford are basically at standstill, going towards a position where they can be sold. And I think it's pretty obvious for everyone to see that, right? And against that, everything is going on with all the culture and all the noise going on upstairs and all the different messages we get. He's doing an unbelievable job. And for me, Sam, if we take away the job from it, right, we take what he's done this season in terms of bringing the best out of these young players, doing so well with the squad that he has, where we are in the league table. Look, it's not been perfect, right, in terms of tactically. He's made errors, sure. But for me, he goes beyond just what we're seeing in terms of points and represents more than what we're just seeing on the pitch. In terms of, he is the connection between the supporters and this football again, which has been a massive gap for years and years. And we thought we were going to get it back through a Rob Edwards. That wasn't allowed the chance to happen, right? And he's brought an identity and a purpose back to being a Watford fan. And I think there's so much potential with Cleves, and there's so much opportunity for him to develop as a coach. But I'll be honest, mate, I'm a mix of everything now, because I'm getting angry speaking about it. I'm getting frustrated. I feel numb to the fact it's another change. And at the minute, I can't imagine going to watch Watford games without him in the dugout. And I really don't think it'd be pleasant watching this Watford team without him as the manager. So
Yeah, spot
That's
on.
what
Jacob, I'll just jump in here because we've got our first concrete source, TalkSport. Have just come out and said Tom Cleverley's on the verge of being sacked. So as well as the Spanish reporter, we got TalkSport now saying it. So that's our first almost concrete source here in England, as well as the no comment from Watford, of course.
Yeah, it's the first one. The first one, right? I mean, Sam, anything to add on what I've said there? Sorry, Matt, I'm a little bit.
No, you're spot on. You're
All
spot
over
on.
the shop here, mate. Sorry.
Spot on with all of it, to be honest, mate. Yeah, obviously that first report right there, but I just don't really know where Watford go from here, to be honest with you. I mean, nothing will change until, the owners leave this football club. And I don't know whether there's going to be, I must state the word peaceful protests at games or movements or whatever. That's conversations that will happen, I'm sure, and you see them happening on social media now. But it just feels like it's full circle, and it's just the heart and soul of everything in this club is just being ripped out every single season more and more. Because something else I've realised that if Tom Cleverley goes, Damo goes, someone who was huge in terms of the academy setup, the women's setup as well, winning trophies for them as well. Robbo will go as well. We don't need to talk about how much of a legend Paul Robinson is at Watford, and you imagine they go as well. That's three huge figures that would leave the football club. While Gino Pozzo is still there ultimately. I'm just past the point of even being angry, to be honest with you. It's actually a little bit sickening. It's crazy how football can do this to you in terms of, I know it's, people say it's just a game, but it's part of our livelihoods every week. It can dictate moods. It's what we look forward to every single week. And having someone like Tom Cleverley right at the heart of this football club, it just feels a bit sickening that it looks like it's being taken away from us.
Sam, let's flip it. Why do you think Gino Pozzo, Scott Duxbury and the boards are making this decision? Because we can talk about why it's the wrong decision. I think you speak to 99% of Watford fans and they would say this is the wrong decision. But why is the man upstairs who's in the position, who has the power, who has the control, who would have seen the banner, who would have seen the support, he would have seen the chants which were aimed towards him. Why is that still not being reflected in the decisions he's making if this does happen?
Yeah, I think there's two elements to this. Like I said earlier, I think they think that there's still that outside chance of playoffs. And if you look at the trajectory of form over this season, yes, we started well. We've got into an excellent position, particularly that home form carried us into a really good spot. But with the injuries that are happening and the clear frailties we can see in the squad, I think those results are only potentially going one way, aren't they? In terms of, we're probably going to end up without signings, a mid-table finish, maybe even lower half finish. And I think they're thinking potentially a new manager bounce, some fresh ideas, fresh faces in the building. Could that almost be enough to carry us into a top 6 spot? I think that will be going through their heads. And secondly, like I said, I mentioned the word ego before, but I think Pozzo knows that there's a wedge being driven here between him, the supporters, and Tom Cleverley, with supporters and Cleverley on one side and Pozzo on the other side. And I think he hates the thought of not being the most important person at the football club, and hates the thought that there's someone who fans will potentially, well, I think no one respects Pozzo at this point, but I think he hates the thought that fans will be siding with someone else that isn't him, and I think that's why he's making this decision. Those are the two reasons. Gianluca Nani, another one. Recruitment's been an absolute shambles since he came into the club. Obviously, Antonio Tikvich, we weren't told that he'd signed permanently, and a statement was released on that today. That's just toxic and horrific. Scott Duxbury, spoken about Scott Duxbury before, but what does he actually do for $1 million / $500,000 a year? I could go on and on and on. And the last person who should be leaving this football club or taking responsibility for this, shambles is Tom Cleverley, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're going off what's been reported today. I mean, I almost feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about the man who's been linked, Sam, but I think I'd be not doing my job if I didn't mention it. The man who's been linked is Pacheta, I don't really. I mean, I looked at his track records. A man whose whole managerial career has been in Spain. He has a couple of promotions to his name. I think the line that's been reported from Spain, if this is true, Graham Bailey now reporting it as well, another source. If Pacheta achieves promotion, he will stay on as head coach next season. Let's make this perfectly clear. If the squad stays as it is now, we're not achieving promotion this season. Categorically. The fact we're in 8th, 1 point off the playoff, is nothing short of a miracle. So almost I'll go as far to say arrogance to think that this squad that's been put together and actually not backing the manager and not fixing the issues that are clear for everyone to see. I mean, again, I have to, every time I speak about this, if this is true, we are getting rid of a manager who should be given a new contract. That is the fact of the matter with this situation. We can talk about previous ones where you felt that Watford managers, there was a reason to it. You understood why, right? This one not only would make absolutely no sense, but actually should be the man to leading forwards this football club for years to come. But the fans are seeing one thing, the owners are seeing another. We said at the same time in the season under Rob Edwards, Chris Wilder, Valerian Ismail, etc., etc., etc. It's just, as we always say, Sam, a leopard doesn't change its spots at all, and it just feels the same once again. But on that man, Sam, you were saying potentially you had like a theory about recruitment here, because we haven't seen anything this season. Like a bank was come in on loan from Udinese, but think of any reason why that's still the case? Do you think it actually affects anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off by saying, to be honest with you, at this stage, don't really care who the head coach is, unless it's Tom Cleverley or we're going to upgrade it to be Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola. I honestly could not care who the manager would be, because that position is irrelevant at this stage. You know, Gino wouldn't shock me one day if he put himself in charge of managing this football club, because if I think what's happened in terms of this January window, I think they've known for a while this guy's coming in, or talks have been going on for a while, and I think they're just waiting for this opportunity to sack Tom. A performance like last week at Cardiff and a performance like Tuesday night that we saw against Preston's probably been, we've seen for them it's enough to tip it over the edge. So I think they've almost been waiting in the window to see what this new manager wants. I think that's why we haven't seen Tom Cleverley backed, and I think that's why we haven't seen anything, come in. As crazy as that sounds, and I just feel so sorry. I feel so sorry for Tom.
Sorry, just to jump in there. This was Tom Cleverley's press conference today ahead of the trip to Coventry City. Jeff Doyle, BBC Three Counties, was at the press conference. He said there was a slight change of tone from Tom Cleverley today about transfers, not so much about whether there might be any incomings or more that they would be losing any players, and focusing on working with what he's got, leaving it more to Gianluca, Scott, and the owner, Sam.
Yeah. I think to me, it looked like, and if you look at Tom Cleverley's body language as well, I think he's basically given up, hasn't he? I'm not sure if, Clevs at this point, or if he even knows what's going on up until seeing the rumours coming on. But to me, I think he's just gone, do you know what? There's no point. I guarantee you that every single day, probably since October, November, he's been banging on their door saying, this is what I need in January, please help me. And I think at this point, he's just given up, knowing that he's not going to get that help. I'm a bit lost for words, Jacob, to be honest with you. Not just necessarily because I'm so disappointed and upset, but because everything's been said already as well. And it's a difficult one to articulate, isn't it? Because it's just, normally we come onto these videos and we sort of have a plan of what we're going to talk about and an outline. But this one, it's just pure, it's raw, isn't it? And it's just speaking my mind. And I've got so many thoughts in my head here in terms of where Watford go from here, under the Pozzo ownership, not under the Pozzo ownership. I love going to games. I love Watford Football Club. But recently, they're just absolutely tearing that apart. Tom Cleverley looked like he was the saving grace, and it looks like he's out. And I don't know, mate. Like, where do you see Watford going from here, to be honest?
Well, this was my next question, actually, Sam, because you talk about what's next if this does happen. Again, I keep having to bang in that drum, but until it's official, we have to always say that, and fingers crossed it's not true. But growing media speculation is coming out as we're actually doing this podcast, which is never a good sign. Well, I think that would be it for a lot of Watford fans, actually, this season anyway. And what I mean by that is the people start to vote with their feet. There is no doubt for me about that. I look at Tuesday night, we come off the back of that win at Derby, and whilst we were in a good moment there, and it's a Tuesday night, it was cold, it's the start of the year, etc. That was not a sold-out Vicarage Road, and it was even 75% full, Sam. It felt like a Carabao Cup game, to be honest, in terms of the crowd. And that was after a great result, right? So
yeah,
I think people start to vote with their feet, I'd imagine. I mean, people are obviously entitled to speak as they want to. I would find it really, really difficult being emotionally invested for a long period now, to be honest.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I really cared about this team, really cared in terms of the players, the personality, the likability of this squad, and most importantly, the man who was leading this team. And I felt that it was the first time in a long time that I felt really unified going to Watford games, home and away. And you speak to supporters and they really, despite, this team not being the finished article, you felt that there was something there. You've got a young manager who cares about this football club on his coaching journey. You've got a team that's young, up against all the odds, fighting to do their best. And then you get all emotionally invested in it, and then that gets ripped away from you. And I'm sorry, it's like a breakup, really. It's then difficult to go back out there and go again, exactly the same person. I don't think a lot of Watford fans, and let us know in the comment section below, but I would struggle to be emotionally invested for the rest of the season. I'd imagine the chants will continue. I'd imagine there probably there could be, that voice said outside the ground as well. Sam, look, these are all things that could happen now. But that's what I'm trying to say is that is the magnitude of the decision that's being made here. I can't remember. Can you remember the last time Watford fans were so united about one decision? I honestly am struggling to see I have not seen one person who's turned around and gone, "This is the right call." Sorry, I haven't seen one person.
No, 100%. And I think as Watford fans, because of who he is and understanding the situation, know that Tom Cleverley is going to make mistakes and Watford are going to lose games this season. And in credit to the Watford team, maybe not against Preston the other night or maybe against Cardiff last week as well. Previous Watford teams I've seen down tools and simply give up on managers. I don't think that's the case this year. We saw in the Derby game, I thought it looked like they were completely playing for Tom Cleverley. And they're right behind him as well. So it looks like the players are behind Tom Cleverley. The fans are right behind Tom Cleverley. And the only man who's not is Gino Pozzo. You're right. I think this football club actually this season has seemed the most united it's been for a long, long time. Like genuinely, probably since 2018, 2019, isn't it? I can't remember a time where it's felt so united behind the team and behind the manager as well. And it's just the thought of that seemingly coming to an end.
Couple of comments. Firstly, a huge thank you to everyone who's watching live, and I'm sure sharing a lot of the emotion that we've got in this video. As Sam mentioned, we normally have these videos planned out. We normally try to keep it as upbeat as possible, but ultimately and understandably, people have asked for reaction. People have asked us to speak up about it. People have asked to give our opinion and share this conversation with you guys. And look, we're trying our best, hopefully, to do that and not enjoy the video, but hopefully it's a little bit cathartic in terms of what you're feeling right now about Watford Football Club. A huge shout out to friend of the channel, Hornet Shane. Completely agree with everything you said, lads. Appreciate it. I do wonder whether Tom's very honest and correct criticism of needing reinforcements, Sam, which he's banged that drum plenty of times in January after Preston, may have caused more damage. Do you think there's substance to that? Obviously, we don't know. Categorically, we don't know. And anyone who's going to make it like we do, we don't. Do you think there's some truth in that? Because Tom has been very open about signings. And when we cast our mind back to the summer and we look at that summer transfer window, my word, that didn't lay the foundations to the fact that we're now here with injuries, with players leaving. And you look at the squad depth and we are in a position where there's no way you can sustain the first half of the season, the second with the squad depth that we have. Yeah. Do you think his honesty, and sometimes, Sam, you've said about his honesty being a little bit too open at times, But he was saying it, what we were all feeling, I felt, in terms of the transfers. Do you think that's not come back to bite him, but do you think that's been noticed and actually caused more damage, as Shane said?
Yeah, 100%. I think particularly, hearing in the January transfer window almost that he knows what he wants, and he's saying he's given this to the board in terms of what he wants, and always putting pressure on the board to deliver publicly. I don't think that's done him any favors, to be honest with you. I think this is something similar happened with Slaven Bilic as well, didn't it? In terms of Bilic said publicly what he wanted in the window. He said he didn't give names at the time. Obviously, we know now in hindsight those names were Garnacho, Pellistri, and Amad Diallo, I want to say. I can't actually remember who those names were that he pointed out. But he didn't give names at the time. But I clearly remember in a press conference he held up 3 fingers and went, what was it, something like centre back, centre mid, left winger? I think it was something along those lines. And obviously, a few weeks later, that was it for Slaven Bilic as well. So, yeah, look, Gino clearly doesn't like being called out in public. Chris Wilder is the closest we've got to that as well. And obviously, he wasn't kept on the following season as well. So, yeah, it has potentially done more harm than good here for him. But I don't blame him, to be honest with you. He's saying ultimately all Watford fans are thinking as well.
I mean, there was part of me that just thought, would he resign Cleverley? There was part of me which thought, the way this is going, it's almost like, what more can I do? What more can I say? Sam, look, we've talked about our reaction to this. We've talked about the rumours. We talked about sort of next steps or what we feel would happen. Sam, just on that, I wanted to just bring it back there just to sort of wrap it up. You mentioned about you don't know where this will leave the fan base. As a fan now, where does this leave you for the rest of this season if this does happen?
I'm gutted, to be honest with you.
You're there at Coventry on Saturday, right?
I'm there at Coventry. Listen, I think the first thing to be said, I'm not one to boycott games. I know a lot of people, as that respect, rightfully so, and completely respect their decisions, won't go to games. For me, going to the football, at least in itself, is a huge part of my week. With going with friends, and ultimately we all still love Watford Football Club, and I'll still do that. Whether that's peaceful protesting, of course, I'm all ears when there's potentially something organised. But yeah, look, I just have to more process this, I think, to be honest with you, before making sort of any decisions on where to go next in terms of Watford Football Club, because I won't stop going, and yeah, it's just a bit broken, to be honest with you, by it.
Reportedly, Troy Deeney's on at 7 o'clock on TalkSport, so if you want to hear his take on some of the rumours and reports that are going around. Sam, anything else we want to mention? I mean, I think like Tom Cleverley, I think we've left it all out there. Anything else you wanted to add? And personally, thanks so much for all the comments. I'm sorry we can't actually get all of them on screen because there's been a ridiculous amount, but I can assure you a lot of the same sentiment has been shared by myself, Sam, and Charlie. If this does happen, and as I said, we hope it doesn't, we will be here giving another reaction. But we wanted to come on here, give our thoughts, give our feelings on what's been happening, just to do a 30-minute chat about it. As I said, understand where people are coming from about us talking about it. Hopefully this has been cathartic, to say the least, or at least it's been helpful. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this was our thoughts on the situation. Tom Cleverley is rumoured to be leaving Watford with Pacheta coming in. But I mean, ultimately, this means far more than just than a new manager coming in. This means a lot more to the fan base, understandably so. Sam, anything else to add before we go?
No, I mean, look, shout out as well to our partners this season, Hertfordshire Mind. Like I said, there has been some really, really good moments this season, and Watford have scored plenty of goals. Another goal the other night against Preston North End as well, meaning we'll be donating another £1 to Hertfordshire Mind. So make sure to have a look at that initiative, and there's more information in the description below. And
there we have it. Take care, guys. Take care of yourself, guys. We will see you hopefully we'll be back on Sunday talking about Watford win. Sam will be there. Charlie will be there. I'm not there, unfortunately. I hope the lads have a good one. and we will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself, guys, and up the Hornets. You odds.